Stan with 3D PT. Today on my Twitter feed, I saw something about a family that was filing a lawsuit against Alibaba and the Tronxy 3D printer company because apparently one of their printers had burned down and unfortunately a person died. Now, this has been a ongoing quality issue with 3D printers, and it's not the first. From pretty much about 2016 to 2018, there was the Arnet A8s, and these actually ended up with a bad reputation for catching on fire. And it was from a combination of bad programming and bad or cheap material design. So with the A8s, one of the technical issues was within its G code was thermal runaway protection. And this is a safety feature that's built into every commercial 3D printer sold. It's one of those safety interlocks that's really kind of hidden behind the scenes because designers don't want printers to screw around with that. And really, unless you know what you're doing, and even then, you shouldn't mess with that because the thermal runaway protection, what it does is if it detects that your printer is overheating, it actually shuts itself down. And if it's overheating, this could be for any number of electrical reasons. So you could have bad hot end, bad thermocouple, or there's a bug in your program in the G code that basically just cranks the temperature up. Also, if there's some sort of short or something that happens, thermal runaway is one of your first circuit breakers to pause that print. So the A8s in the past were kind of notorious for leaving the thermal runaway protection out at the factory. And so they shipped them out without knowing to consumers who really didn't understand that safety feature was in place. And the thermal runaway, if there was something wrong with the printer, the person running it may not know what to do. Because there's an expectation in the 3D printer community that your printers out of the box are safe. Now, in a 14-page lawsuit, the family of the person who died is suing Alibaba, which sold the printer, and Tronxy, which manufactured the printer. And I won't go into all the details here. I'll include a link for the PDF if you want to read the case file. But basically it states that Tronxy and Alibaba sold a defective printer. And unfortunately, while operating the printer, the person died. And they're suing for damages, which is totally understandable. I'll let you go through that whole document and read all the details. Now, if I go to the actual Tronxy site, which I'm not going to endorse or recommend right now, it lists the printer for about $275 plus shipping and handling from China. And if you go all the way to the bottom, all these required certificates. And in theory, these are the ones that you see on every device that has to be imported or exported and meet some sort of technical standards. So these are the common ones you see that says the device is safe enough to plug in and use. And these are the ones that people look for and expect on the side of their electronics just from what they've seen on like their cell phones and printers and computers. It'll be interesting to see what comes of this case and whether the victim accidentally bought a defective unit or if Tronxy was negligent and they failed to put that thermal protection in. And I'll review next how to kind of review things you should look for or safety things or ways to check. So in this Twitter feed, 3D Printing Professor first really brings up the website and the link for the issue. And a few tweets below it, Jeff Elberler, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, Jeff Elbler, sorry. He points out there's a G-code that actually gets your machine to tell you if protection is on. Now, you could open up the G-code reader or notepad for any file you're looking at, and I've checked a few of mine, but I don't see M115. And so your machine's going to differ, and unfortunately I can't dig into the G-code to try and find this. But it does have, according to him, it does say the printer can report if your thermal protection is on. So my understanding is if you type this in, it calls out in the G-code and to the printer, and the printer will respond. And 1 is yes, it has protection, and 0 if it's disabled. So you could play around with your G-code and go from there. I'm going to have to dig through mine more to see if I can do that. I'm not currently connected to a printer. But there's one way to check and see if your protection is on or not. BV3D Brian Vines. So he has a good description of some checks you could do on some printers. And then Tom Sandler. So for more information on this, I'll include a link to a couple videos. One by actually pretty well known in the 3D printing community, and he's got a great video here on his experience with thermal runaway and how to check it. So I'll include links to all the information below. I'll also include a couple extra links to things like a G-code generation and how to read G-code. Now, the best way I found to actually check on this is to go online to like a Facebook community for that printer. And go to those communities and actually see what the people who use the printers like, don't like, and what issues they have. Because those reviews where they actually try and troubleshoot and share common things is more honest than any Amazon review you'll ever see. Also check with your manufacturer on what they have for thermal protection, and if they have a specific way to check for it. Also check with your manufacturer to see if what thermal protection they have. Now it should be installed in a default setting on the printer. If they ever say no, it's not installed, or yes, it's installed, but you read the news and you find out that some of these printers have been burning up, there's either a quality control issue or a programming issue. Now the A8s were famous for not having the thermal protection installed in the controls of the board, so sloppy coding. And for the Tronxy, it's going to be remain to be seen if it was a thermal runaway issue or a mechanical issue. So that's definitely check. And in a future video, I'll probably do like 3D printer safety. So if you like what you see, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm working on new videos all the time, so if you have any ideas, leave a comment below.